Hi, I'm Teresa Chang.
Hi, I'm Marianne McCara.
Hi, I'm Felicia Grant Cummings.
Hi, I'm Kim Johnson with Moms Navigating Autism.
Hi, I'm Marianne McCara.
Hi, I'm Teresa Chang. Welcome to Moms Navigating Autism. We ran a 2022 Awesome Parent Recognition Award for our wonderful moms that are out there, and we recognize that when we have a child with autism, they don't come with its instruction manual. This year's 2022 Awesome Parent is Bree Thornton. And tonight we have on the show Bree and the person who nominated her, Michelle Sander. So welcome to the show. We're really glad to have you. And why don't we start with Michelle and have her tell us why she nominated
her. I nominated Bree because we kind of both grew up, we didn't understand certain disabilities and with autism and stuff like that. I saw her pretty much navigate by herself to learn about her daughter's disability, autism, all by herself. And she's doing a great job, continues to do a great job. And she pretty much just started from scratch, and she's still learning, but seeing how we grew up pretty much with no knowledge about autism, seeing her go from this to that, it's just inspiring.
Bree, tell us your autism story, because every autism mom has a story to tell.
Okay, so I first started noticing something was off with my daughter when she was about 2.5 years old. She has two cousins that are pretty much in the same age range as her. So I was thinking that they were hitting milestones that she kind of really wasn't. They were able to tell me as what they wanted for breakfast or what they did that day and things like that. And my child wasn't really doing any of that. At first, it comes with a lot of in denial that there is something wrong, because of course you do not want your child to be quote unquote, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot to take in at first. But then when I realized that she's almost turning 3 years old and she's not talking and she's not able to tell me anything or communicate with me what she wants, and she's actually 4 years old and she still isn't potty trained. So there's a lot of things that just kind of led me up to the early intervention. When I finally got her evaluated for the early intervention, I didn't really want to do it over the phone. I kind of wanted it to be more in depth because she really didn't do well on the phone. I noticed that because she also got diagnosed in the height of COVID, the early intervention through the phone wasn't really doing what I feel like it needed to be done. So that's when I kind of, off better judgment, I stopped the services because nothing was really going through, So then I started to get some information. I did my own research and I realized that I can get her evaluated through the school district and they can provide me with services. So now she's almost turning about 4 at this time. And so we went in again, they wanted to evaluate her over the phone. And that's when I said, the last time she got evaluated over the phone, it really wasn't working out for her. It didn't do, she didn't participate in everything. So their kind of rule of thumb was if she doesn't do it, she fails it anyway. And I feel like that kind of wasn't fair because we don't know what she can and can't do because she's not sitting in front of the phone doing it. Finally, when I got her to get evaluated, she did the motions. She went through the it's not games, I would say that they did, but they did certain tasks that she had to complete, and she really wasn't completing them as she should have. And so basically towards the end of the evaluation, the evaluator had asked me, so mom, do you have any other concerns? And I said, Google tells me that my kid is autistic, but you can't believe everything Google says, And that's when she was like, you're not wrong, mom. She was like, you have a feeling, and you went with it. And that's when I honestly got her diagnosis of her actually being autistic.
Okay, but since then, has she been receiving services?
Yes, she actually goes down to a school in Hawthorne. And in the 2 years that she's been there, there's been such a dramatic difference from the day she started, and she actually graduates this month, the 17th, from her pre-K program. And there has been such a dramatic turnaround that I just sit there and I cry a little bit, because that was not who she was almost like a year and a half ago. It'd be 2 years, and I'm very happy with her progress.
So the program is working for you?
Yeah, she attends speech therapy, and she also attends occupational therapy 3 times a 30 minutes each week. And now she has found different ways to communicate with us. She'll probably, like, if she wants something, she'll take her hand and she'll put it to this is what I want, And then also she's very fond of the word no these days. So she does have some language skills, just not many just yet.
Okay. So do you take her like to other programs?
She kind of sometimes has a little issues with people, too much people. She's not okay with that right now. So I try to do what's at her comfort level. She doesn't even like birthday parties. So that's another sign that I felt like I knew something was off about her, because even at her own birthday party with all of pretty much her family, she just kind of shied away from it and didn't want to even be outside. So I try to do what she's most like comfortable with. So I really haven't done any outside programs, no.
Sounds like it might be sensory issues.
She has a lot of sensory issues.
Yeah.
She rocks back and forth a lot. And she also is constantly like, I think the perfect word is what they use is stimming, because she's constantly kind of like looking at the lights and spinning in circles. She's like constantly in motion.
Oh yeah. I had one of those that was constantly in motion. I used to take him to Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
And I would stand at the front of the store. My husband would stand at the back of the store, and he would run between all the bookcases all over the place, like 5 or 6 times until he tired himself out. But we would, that would be his highlight, running in Barnes and Noble.
Hers too. We actually went shopping at Old Navy a few days ago, and one of her biggest things is she likes looking in the mirror. So they have huge mirrors there. So she was running across the store from one mirror to the other mirror, just looking at herself, fixing her hair and looking at her clothes. And so she's a very active girl. She actually, at 4 years old, she's going to be 5 in August. She taught herself to swim. I did not teach her how to swim. I did not do anything but stand there and supervise her.
What kind of things does she like, that you've noticed that she has actually liked?
So, like I mentioned, swimming is definitely top number one. Any type of activity that involves water, she is down. She needs it. She needs a part of it. But she also does like to color. She likes to paint. She just likes, one of her favorite things to do is make a mess. But she likes to, so I kind of live right by the park. So she likes to walk around the track. She really likes the feel of the fake grass, the AstroTurf that they have up there. And she likes to run around a lot. That's one of her favorite things to do. She also has these Care Bears that she got for Christmas, and she likes to line them up in an array and make them watch her do things.
I used to get my son the little people, and
things that can fit in her hand.
Right. But he would line them all up in a row.
Yeah.
Right.
I
And so,
of her, she lines them up pretty much the same each time, and they're lined up on the stairs, under the bed, outside.
yeah, yeah, that's part of the autism spectrum. Yeah, yeah,
My son used to line up his cars, his like little
yeah,
cars, his little vehicles, he would line
yeah.
them up.
Hot Wheels, yes.
She also really likes, I feel like anything that she can kind of just be free without too much like pressure or too much instruction, and she can kind of just do her own thing. She gets some screen time, pretty much. That's what she likes to do, but she really likes music.
Yeah.
You ever beginning of the movie where it's like dun, 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 like that's her favorite thing. She listens to that over and over and over again, all as much as she can.
We have to be understanding with our kids.
I had to learn a lot about my daughter because I feel like everything you know about a child is one thing, and then when you get the diagnosis that your child is autistic, you have to kind of like learn your child all over again and what works for them, if that makes sense. So it was pretty much a journey for the both of us, because
Yeah.
I also picked up a book, and it was called The Reason I Jump, and it's autism from a 13-year-old boy's perspective. And that gave me a lot of insight of what my child goes through on a daily basis. And it just made me comfortable that, I mean, I knew that I'm not the only autism parent out there, but hear it from his standpoint was different, because it gives me hope that my child can write a book one day, and my child isn't going to be just reliant on me. I mean, that's the realisticness of the situation. She could be, or she could be very much go off and lead her own independent life. But I feel like if you don't look at both sides, there's no way you don't want to look just at the bad thing. And you don't also just want to look at the great either, because you don't know what's going to happen 10 years from now.
There was a kid who was nonverbal,
Mhm.
the parents were told that he would never, ever amount to much. Basically that he was severely autistic, and until he started showing signs of some sort of intelligence. And if it wasn't for an aide in a class, they ended up finding out that his problem was communicating. He couldn't talk. He was nonverbal. But they gave him an iPad. He could type. And he started typing in what he wanted. And he went on to graduate from high school, graduate from college, receive in communications, and received a master's degree. And now he goes around making speeches through his iPad. His inability to communicate hindered him.
Yes.
But the iPad gave him a voice, and he was able to do so much more with that iPad.
I feel like when you initially get the diagnosis, you're not sure where your child is going to be. And it's scary because when you hear that, you always think of the worst possible thing that can happen to you. The world is already so cruel, and then you put this on a child, and I feel like I didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring for her, but she has progressed so much in this program that I am happy that I got her into the program. I accepted that she needed help, and everything is now working as it should. And she is still nonverbal to where she can't tell me what she wants, but she can sing a song now, and she can tell me no. She can kind of like hum a tune, but she still does have a long road to go.
It's wonderful that you're meeting this on, and you have a whole new perspective on it.
I do, because at first one, to be honest with you, I knew that there was kids that are different and things like that, but I had no idea what autism even meant. I had no idea that it looks just like a normal person who's walking down the street. And I didn't know I didn't know how many things actually go into autism: sensory issues, verbal issues. Like, I didn't also, when they first suggested occupational therapy, in my mind, I'm like, she knows how to walk, she knows how to run. What does she need occupational therapy for? I don't understand that. But then I realized
Go
it's
ahead.
fine skills, and she needs to learn how to be more aware of her body and be safe with her body.
Oh, I agree with you there. There are a lot of parents that are in denial. A lot of parents that are saying no, and their kid goes along the way and they don't know. And then you also have a lot of parents who rely on the district to tell them, you educated yourself and you said, okay, this district can evaluate my child. And they brought somebody in. The district isn't always willing to do that, and they don't tell parents that
Right.
they can do that. But I know somebody whose child went all through school, and on their last meeting before he graduated, they said, oh, by the way, we've suspected that your child had autism for a while now. Yet never gave him any of the services or anything. And like, they shouldn't be doing that, but you know, that's how some districts are. And you know, and I kept saying to the parent, you need to go get him evaluated. Get him evaluated. Go out and get him evaluated. Don't just wait for the school, because you need to do it. The earlier you get the help, the better it is.
A lot of people were telling me that, oh, she's just gonna grow out of it, don't worry about it. But my thing was, she's going on 3 years old, and these 3-year-olds are doing a lot more than she's doing, and it doesn't sit right with me, because there's something just is nagging in the back of my head. Something is wrong, something is not right. I don't know what it is, but something's not right here. And I did my best to try to figure out what could I do to make her life easier or better, for that matter. And when I decided the whole evaluation was the best way to go. And not everybody really agreed with me at first. They thought that I was just doing it for the money that's involved or the attention or things like that. And you look at them and you're like, yes, I want to check because my kid's autistic. That's what every parent wants to hear. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but what I'm saying is, again, the stigmatism and the perception of being a special needs parent, you know?
And as an advocate, I've run into parents that their child has no problems. The signs are all there, and they're not looking at the signs, and the district's not looking at the signs, and they're also not evaluating them. They're telling the parents to go out and get them evaluated.
Right. And like I mentioned before, I did have a little bit of trouble with my district because, as I said, in the height of COVID is when she actually was diagnosed with that. So they actually told me and like marked it down on paper that I refused to get her evaluated because I wouldn't let her get evaluated over FaceTime again. And I said, like, I'm not. And then they also sent me something about like mental health and things like that, because I basically told them, like, if you can't help me on that I want help, I will find somebody who will help me and who will help my daughter. And it wasn't, it was a kind of a blowout a little bit, because I felt like I was not being heard, because I already let them know that we did the evaluation for early intervention over the phone and it didn't go well, you know, and I'm not going to let you label my child for the rest of her life over a 10-minute FaceTime call.
It wouldn't be a full evaluation. And I agree. It wouldn't be a full evaluation.
I don't understand how an evaluation could be done over the phone or FaceTime or
in 10 minutes.
I think evaluations have to be in person.
Yeah, correct. I feel like you have to get to know the child almost. They wanted to do it like Zoom. You know, we're going to get on Zoom and we're going to talk. And I said, I can't even get her to sit down with me for 5 minutes. How do you expect to evaluate her?
I don't see how that could work at all.
Yeah.
Over Zoom or Skype or whatever. No.
When my son was evaluated, I took him down to Columbia Psychiatric, and we were literally there all day. They ran a battery of tests on him, and they determined where that he was on the spectrum and where on the spectrum he was, and before they would even write out their full report. That's why I don't understand, how 10 minutes makes, like, it's like barely a test.
That's how I felt. I felt like you are going to tell me my kid is potentially being labeled as autistic or whatever you would come up with at the end of this evaluation, and you haven't even got to meet her in person. And then you're going to tell me that if she doesn't complete the task, which she's not sitting for in the first place, that she fails it initially anyway. So again, now we don't know if she can do it or if she can't do it because she's not sitting in front of the screen doing it. And what, at this age, what 2-year-old is sitting in front of a screen listening to a teacher talk?
Yeah. I don't understand that.
And my school district gave me a really rough time. And then I guess they had made like a makeshift evaluation place. I thought an evaluation would be a little bit more formal, a little bit more like in depth, but it was just like, can you put this here? But also I didn't know, I was new to this, still am. I still have so much to learn still. And I sat there and I'm looking at like what's going on. And I felt like it was also kind of like moved along a little bit in the fast way, because it was just like from one task to the next task to the next task. And there was other people there. It wasn't private. And I was just like, I need her to have these services. So I need this to kind of go through right now. But, in the same sense, I made sure that she spent her time trying to really get to know my child in that evaluation process.
We went to WIHD, Westchester Institute for Human Development, and we also went to Blythedale for the OT eval. Our son received speech therapy and OT and ABA. He first received services in our home, and then he went to Fred S. Keller in Yonkers, and then on to the Hawthorne Country Day School, and now he's at Devereux. But the evaluations were thorough, and they took most of the day, and they were all in person, of course.
I was like, okay, I know I'm new to this, but you can't tell me you could paint a picture of an autistic child in 10 minutes. Like, I just didn't think it was going to be, and then I had to for the early intervention, because if I didn't let them do this over the Zoom FaceTime, she wasn't going to receive services at all. So I was like, I don't know if I'm hurting her or if I'm doing her any good if I let them do it. And so for a little while, I was just like, all right, let's just go with it. Let's just see what happens. And after a couple months of the early intervention, there was no change because, again, it wasn't in person. She wasn't sitting for me. And it's like they almost wanted me to force her to sit there. And I'm like, if I'm forcing her to sit there, she's crying for 20 minutes of the process, and then we only get 10 minutes of work done, So I was like, this is really not helping her. Yeah.
I think therapies really do need to be in person. And generally, I found that it's better if it's not the parent doing it, because I think sometimes the relationship between the parent and the child is so close that I think it's easier sometimes for a stranger, a professional, to do the therapy, because the child doesn't have that sort of relationship with the parent. The parent is the one who nurtures them and takes care of them, and they're less open to instruction from a parent. And that's been my experience. And
Mine too. My daughter doesn't listen to a thing I say sometimes. She does not care what I have to say. But when it comes to her teacher, she will sit and participate with her teacher more, because she knows, oh, mom will let me get up in a few minutes if I just keep acting this way, if that makes sense. Whereas in school, which actually my daughter attends Hawthorne Country Day now, they're not going to let you just slide off because you're crying, And I also, once she gets too frustrated, I give her a break, probably longer than I should, and probably more breaks than I should too, Whereas someone of a stranger is not, I'm not saying they're being mean and forcing her and like being cruel to her, but they're not.
Structure.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's more highly structured. Yeah, and it's a different structure, and it's a different relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
But my daughter actually really loves her teacher. We actually saw her teacher out one day in Walmart, and what's funny is I've never seen her get so excited to see anybody really besides me, you know? And so she's standing up in the shopping cart. She's like almost pointing her finger. And I'm like, who do you see? Like, who is that? But she saw her teacher, even recognized her teacher with the mask on. So
Oh my.
happy to see that she's putting, she can remember things, but also that's something that they told me too. She does something, what's called, I think it's pronounced rote learning, where she does a lot of learning from memory.
Right.
My son, I try to make him visualize everything. I have literally gone onto the internet, found how to make cartoons so that we can figure out the outcome, because most kids on the spectrum, they don't see the whole picture. They see bits and pieces. You know, there are times when I say to him, oh, that looks like, you know, this actor or Tom Cruise or whoever. And he'll say, no, Mom, because Tom Cruise's eyes are like this, or his mouth is like this. Like, they look at everything separately, and he's got a photographic memory. So he's got it all memorized, right? So he just sits, you know, and I'm going, I look at the whole face. And kids on the spectrum, they don't look at the whole face. They look at your eyes, the shape of your eyes, your nose, the shape of your nose, your mouth, the shape of your mouth, your lips, you know, all of that. But he doesn't, like, they don't look at like the bigger picture. And getting him to look at the bigger picture sometimes has been a struggle that I have to, you know, literally do out of cartoon. We have to like creatively think to get them to understand what you're trying to talk about, because sometimes they don't understand, and we don't understand why they think a certain way either. And like, I wish for us, because it would make life a lot easier for us.
Right. My biggest thing is I always say, like, I wish I can just see the world through her eyes. I wish I could see how she sees things, so I can get a better understanding of what she's seeing and how she perceives it. And I just, that, because I feel like we could totally communicate and bond more if I could see the world through her eyes, but obviously that's really not, I wish it would be something that way I could do, you know, but you know, she's a smart girl. She's getting there though, and I'm very happy. But also I feel like the whole process of getting your child evaluated is scary too.
So a lot of times it felt like it was like a process of elimination, you know, check the hearing, check the eyes, you know, check the brain waves, the patterns, to see if maybe there was a, you know, some sort of seizure activity that we weren't aware of.
Right. The whole process was very enlightening, because had I never got her evaluated, I probably would have just kept going on thinking that one day she's magically gonna speak, and that's really not what's gonna happen right now, at least for her. Like, she wasn't gonna wake up tomorrow and just start saying full sentences. That's not how I saw it to be working. And I think if anybody takes anything from this show tonight, I just want to let everybody know that it's okay. It's gonna be all right. It's hard, but it's gonna be all right.
We'd like to thank our guests, Bree Thornton and Michelle Sanders. Thank you to Altice for providing us with this platform. Please like and subscribe.
And we want to remind everybody that we are mothers. We're not professionals. We're sharing our experiences so that hopefully we can help you with your autism child.